What's going on, guys? My name is Joe with Gamestarter Radio, and today we have our very first episode of a longer form video series that we're doing with different projects, different people around the blockchain, NFT, and gaming space. Today we are joined with Chibi Dinos. I'm really excited to sit down with these guys, talk about a really cool NFT project. Has a recent launch. So far, we've seen some great success on the project, and so I'm really excited to kind of get a deep dive into their project, hear a little more about what it's like creating an NFT project, bringing it to light, bringing it to the market, talk about their current situation, their experience, and then what their plans are for the future. As always, guys, I have to say we love this project. It is not financial advice. We are, friends with these guys, but, obviously doing our research before investing in any projects. And other than that, let's just get started, guys. You want to do a quick introduction yourselves, talk a little bit about kind of your goals for Chibi Dinos, where the idea came from, just kind of give us an overview of the project.
Yes, sir. Listen, Joseph, thank you for having us on the show. It's a pleasure. I can't believe we're your first guest. That is a big roll of the dice for your part. But we're super happy to be here. My name's Jeremy Lindblad. I'm the CEO over here at Chibi Dinos. I'm super excited to chat with you all. We've got a hell of a team on board today from the Dino team. So I'll let the rest of them hop in and introduce themselves quickly, and then we'll get into the project.
Absolutely.
Hey everybody, my name's Trevor. I'm the COO over here at Chibi Dinos.
Joseph, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Shetty. Previously, I've worked in the financial sector for quite some time. I've essentially was taking the corporate route, just climbing the corporate ladder, and I've been at Chibi Dinos since about September now, and I'm head of finance here, so I work in the finance department. I help essentially lead the financial department when it comes to reporting, forecasting, and anything that comes with numbers is essentially falls within my bucket of things to do. And I also manage the treasury. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool.
Hey there, my name is Chad, and I head up strategic partnerships and biz dev over here at Chibi Dinos, and we are super excited to, as Jeremy mentioned, be your first guest here.
Absolutely. Welcome, Chad.
Well, wonderful. Aaron, do you want to introduce yourself? Are you free to introduce yourself? If not, we can go ahead.
Yeah, no. Hey there. This is Aaron. I work with Shetty on the finance and strategy side of things. Come from the world of investment banking and capital markets, and just really excited for the project and love these guys. They're absolutely fantastic to work with.
Cool. Very, very cool. I'm glad to have all you guys on it. It's cool to be talking to so many. My initial thought was like, we'll be able to talk to one person from the team, but we've got 5 of you on right here. So that's super cool. I'm excited to chat with all of you, get some kind of different takes and hear about, the different areas that you're working on. So, whose brainchild was this project? Who got together and made this thing, and where'd the idea come from?
Yeah, let's give you a bit of background on the project before we start telling you about what the future looks like.
Yeah, please do.
So the brainchild of Chibi Dinos as an NFT project, it came out of the mind of a wonderful gent named Sean Kelly, who's our founder. He co-founded the project with his partner Ariel, and it was originally a 10,000 PFP two-dimensionalized project that launched in late August of 2021. It actually launched to great success. It sold out in about 18 minutes at about $2.5 million of sales, something around that number. And Sean had a long history of entrepreneurial projects, the most recent of which was called Jersey Champs, which was a e-commerce business where he was developing and selling very unique and collectible jerseys to sports players and sports fans around the world. And he has a love of basketball. He just so happens to stand 6'9" or something like that. Dunks like an absolute beast. So he loves the game of basketball. And the concept of Chibi Dinos was to create an NFT project that catered to his love of anime and art. So the core essence of the original 2D series had some really strong ties to that anime world, as well as to the sport of basketball. So it was a series of 10,000 characters, each wearing a basketball jersey, all with the idea in the background of being characters that played basketball in this world called Planet Hoop. So that was the essence of the project to start. He had grand aspirations to do some wonderful things with this project, and in order to do so, he built this team around him, including myself and everyone else on this phone, on this call right now. And we brought together a very, very strong team of folks from all around the space, not only from Web3, from crypto, from finance, from extreme marketing backgrounds, from the game space, but a large team of which now sits at about 22 to build out a play to earn ecosystem and a true entertainment brand, to be completely honest, that revolves around this original collection of 2D assets. So it was a wonderful conceptualized brainchild in the NFT space, and it's become just so much more.
That's awesome. Definitely sounds like a really cool project, especially for I mean, any NFT fans, but then more specifically, targeting those like athletic and basketball backgrounded and basketball fanatics, I would say, right? Like you said, a little bit of gaming, a little bit of NFT, a little bit of everything. I love it. So what's been your experience so far? So you've launched, like you said, you sold out. You had your NFT launch. You have some things. What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, but before I let the more interesting folks tell you about what it is that we're up to now, I'll give you a bit of background as to how we've spent our last 8 months.
Yeah,
and
please.
sheesh, it's crazy to think that it's been about 8 months at this point. But when we joined this project as a team, it was incredibly important to us, all coming from backgrounds where we were very secure in our lifestyles and our jobs, with our kids, with our families, with our salaries, with all of that good stuff that comes with being an adult. The idea of hopping into a Web3 project, especially in the early nascent stages and back in August of last year, was not an easy task. And in order to do so, in order to be fully committed, we really focused on building the foundations to what we knew of as a proper business. So, we've got Chad on the phone. Chad's a serial entrepreneur. I think he's owned something like 64 businesses in his life. We've got Aaron on the phone, who comes from an investment banking background, who's incredibly dialed in, and when it comes to raising capital and corporate structure. And so we really focused our first 7 months on, yes, we had a team that was building the marketing side, growing our community, ensuring that we had a very loyal base, making sure that we were moving the goalposts when it came to ideation of future plans and what it is that we wanted to do in that NFT space and in the gaming space. But we really did focus on building those structural foundations to ensure that we had longevity and survivability in this very sort of volatile world of Web3. So we focus on creating corporate structure, getting incredible legal teams, getting the right partners in place, having the right advisors, making sure that we knew that if we did build what we planned on building, which is what we have built now, that we are going to be in great shape for success. Because the last thing we wanted to do was put in all this effort, all to be told that, we didn't dot an I or cross a T, and we didn't cover some legal issues, or we didn't cover some financial issues or some strategy issues. So we made sure that was all in place. And from there, that was wrapped up probably by around January. And since then, we've been able to absolutely move and scale it at a speed that I don't think many projects could have without doing that sort of baseline fundamental work. And for example, let me introduce Trevor to talk to you a bit about the first play to earn game that we've launched called Primal Pick'em. Trevor can give you some background, and I'll tell you the sort of birth story of that. But one of the first things that I did when I joined the company was I racked my brain for individuals in the digital asset space, predominantly in the sports digital asset space. And I was immediately introduced to a guy named Santi. Santi spent 11 years over at EA Sports building the FIFA franchise. And then after that, he built and conceptualized and built NBA Top Shot over at Dapper Labs. And I just so happened to have a direct contact into him. And I called him, I think within 5 minutes of making the introduction from an airport. And by the end of about a 45-minute phone call, we'd ostensibly signed a deal to build the first ever game that we've launched, which Trevor will introduce you to, called Primal Pick'em. And Trev, give him a bit of background as to what that game's all about.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, I just want to kind of build off of what you said to start as a little bit of a look behind the scenes of our thinking here. One of the things we wanted to do, perhaps a little differently than a lot of other players in the space, was partner with people with a proven track record of making games and experiences that have, a really solid user experience. In a lot of instances, the user experience in this space is lacking, and it comes down to kind of inexperience on the part of a lot of developers. So so much of success is built on covering your blind spots and filling gaps, and I think we took that approach from the very get-go, working with folks like Santi over at Game On to build the predictive game. Our predictive game is honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing when you look at it. Just the simplicity of engagement and kind of rolling yourself into the Chibi Dinos ecosystem that it offers. It's a very kind of streamlined and seamless experience where you hop in and you make predictions on the outcomes and kind of performance milestones of players in NBA games. And by making those predictions, you earn points and climb through a leaderboard. And as you climb through this leaderboard and you advance in divisions, you have new kind of earning opportunities and rewards available to you that really are just kind of a first step into our broader play to earn ecosystem. Our flagship kind of environment we're building out called Primal Hoop.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So start good.
Sorry, yeah, just to add to that, I was just going to say that we looked at this game when we first built it out, and we first were working with Game On to essentially bring it to market. It's currently in beta stage, and how we conceptualized the game was that it was going to be an introduction to any NBA player to come into this Web3 space and pretty much experience what the Chibi ecosystem would look like, or how we would like to describe it as a Chibiverse. Essentially, a player would come in, like Trevor said, and would make predictions on NBA games. So we saw that as an attraction to anyone that is within this NBA fan base, which is essentially our target market, just because we're this basketball-inspired NFT project. And we saw this game as a good funnel for us to essentially introduce people who maybe have not heard of the Web3 space or haven't essentially delved into it too much, to essentially come in and interact with this very simple, easy to use, easy to play game. There's many games out there that are similar to it, like FanDuel or DraftKings. And this kind of builds on this fantasy sort of sports ecosystem that a lot of people are already engaged within. So we saw it as the perfect sort of integration or footstep in order to build our ecosystem and essentially introduce people to it, which would essentially translate into more users into our Primal Hoop game, which is going to be our arcade main sort of premium game, which is going to be released with Infinite World.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing we kind of brushed over that, looking at it as kind of a top of the funnel experience, even though it is, very nested in Chibi Dino's lore and kind of our branding, it's a game that anyone can hop in and play. It's not exclusive to our holders. Once the full launch comes later next month, anyone can hop in and play. There are going to be, benefits and kind of bespoke rewards for Chibi Dinos holders, but we're really looking at this as a frictionless way to kind of introduce people into our ecosystem from the sports angle and that kind of competitive side of things.
No, that's awesome. I love it. So I'm definitely hearing like you're talking about the sports betting aspect of things. So we've seen that on like crypto projects and coins and kind of interfaces so far, but as far as like having an NFT collection behind it and then almost like this gamified version of it, I think it's really cool. And I mean, sports betting is all the time. It's getting just huge. I'm seeing so many ads right now, like you said, FanDuel, Caesars. I mean, it just every time I watch Hulu right now or Netflix, I'm just getting loads of ads for Caesars right now. So it's a big deal for sure. And so it's cool to see. Like I said, you guys branch into the NFT space. It's definitely a unique concept. Me personally, you guys are probably more well versed with other projects doing stuff like that, but personally, it's the first one I've heard that's integrating the NFT with sports betting like this.
Not to pat ourselves on the back.
First
of its kind.
Not only to pat ourselves on the back, it is the first ever NFT backed prediction game. And that being said, it actually has zero real ties to the concept of sports betting, right? Because there's no gambling involved with it. it's actually what makes us so interesting to that world, and the reason why we're fielding conversations from those big players in the sports betting space is because we offer the ability to engage in a fantasy type world with sports predictions without the gambling aspect, and that makes it, number one, adoptable by those of all ages, and by those that want a sort of a frictionless, seamless path into learning about what Web3 can do. So all of our rewards are NFT based or our own token based, and there's no gate in terms of whether or not you have to own an NFT to play. So it's a wonderful hybrid of all of the things that invigorate people that are into sports betting, with the sort of complacency of being just a really fun and attractive game that's entertaining. And I've got to say today, not to toot our own horn, but I was told by a number of our advisors today that they seem to think that we have somehow managed to create the most efficient time to earn ratio in all of play to earn gaming right now, which is pretty remarkable. So the amount of time one has to spend playing the game versus the potential outcome of rewards is at a ratio unbeknownst to the space, which is something that we weren't shooting for, but it looks like we might have achieved, which is a big home run out of the start.
Absolutely, that's huge. Congratulations. Thank you for the clarification. I definitely didn't mean to mislabel you guys. I want to make sure we're correct with the terminology for sure. But no, that's awesome. Well, congrats on all that success so far. And like you said, the first of its kind in this space. And I think it is an awesome way, like you said, to kind of gather a lot of attention. I think that's what's awesome about gaming in general is, the NFT market, blockchain, Web3, it makes sense to a lot of gamers in general. So that's an easy, talk about all the time with that gaming is going to be that gateway to mass adoption with, crypto, NFTs in general. You guys are exemplifying that just, right off the bat. This is a way to gather a very passionate fan base of a particular, the NBA and maybe larger sports fanatics in general, start funneling them into, your ecosystem and then the broader NFT and gaming ecosystem as well. So, I mean, projects like you are definitely going to be, leading the way going forward, I think, into mass adoption.
Well, that's incredibly kind to say, and we've actually made a bit of a credence or an ethos inside the company that we no longer call ourselves a play to earn gaming ecosystem. We're a play and earning gaming ecosystem, and what that means is that based on what Trevor was saying earlier, wait till we start telling you about Primal Hoop, but our main focus was, as an overall entertainment brand, right? I'll tell you a bit about later on in the talk about what we're doing outside of the gaming space, but in terms of garnering the love and adoption of the masses, it's really about creating something that's fun, right? There are lots of people, like my mother is playing Primal Pick'em and she doesn't know what crypto is, right? And that's a wonderful concept. Like, we wanted to focus on making sure that we created sticky, fun, engaging experiences that gave entertainment value to individuals both in and without and outside of the space. And I hate to put too much pressure on our shoulders, especially to my team on the call and the team at large in our community. But I kind of want us to be seen as, at least internally, as a real bridge in this space to a safe, frictionless, easy way for individuals to onboard the concept of Web3. Right, because it's a very convoluted and difficult concept for a lot of people to understand. And if we can do this, if we act upon our plans and we do what it is that we've set out to do, we will provide a situation and an opportunity for individuals that are new to this space to safely and with confidence join a world, this creator economy that is really taking over this web space. And I think that we should to a certain extent put that responsibility on our shoulders, especially in a volatile world of Web3 that exists today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and I think that's going to be what really triggers like that influx when you focus on, and those are the games, I think too, that the games and the projects that are going to survive when it's not just built around hype, it's not just built around, overall general excitement. You're actually building products. You were talking about all those people that you brought onto your team that are, have these really impressive backgrounds, and you are building, we have your faces here, we have your profiles, we know who you are. It's not just another, gamey cash grab. You guys are building infrastructure behind it and focusing on that gameplay. And just to, to shout out Gamestarter and show us a little bit too, that's that's one of that motto, one of our mottos as well, where it's that gameplay first. Blockchain is just enables more features, and that's the whole idea, right? It's not just I'm not playing it because it's a blockchain game or an NFT game. I'm playing it because I want to enjoy that game. If I get to earn on top of it, that's the cherry on top. But the projects that are focusing on that those important deliverables are the ones that are going to lead the charge in that that hopefully that mass adoption, like I was saying, but also the ones that are going to stick around and be viable for years to come, and have that fan base, and because they know people who are coming in from, no matter what your background is, you want to enjoy the experience, right? So I think that's huge.
Absolutely nailed it. Yeah. Do you know what I think would be a good segue? Not to squelch one of your next questions, but I think that this is a really good transition into what our core gaming ecosystem is going to be called, and what it is called Primal Hoop. And I would love Trevor to walk you through the at least the early stages of what Primal Hoop is going to look like, and what we're spending, I'd say probably 70% of our time on at Chibi Dinos right now, and what we're most excited about.
Yeah, please do. Trevor, get on the spot now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being on the spot. So Primal Hoop is, like Jeremy had mentioned, it's kind of be our flagship kind of gaming environment. I say environment because really it's kind of a bed for multiple different kind of gameplay styles and game modes. The real kind of core gameplay loop for Primal Hoop will be this 3-versus-3 competitive kind of arcade style basketball game, similar to something like NBA Jam or NBA Hang Time, with a fair amount of skill-based gameplay, but also a little bit of that loose and fun freedom that you'd see in titles like that. And then supporting that is going to be a kind of arcade style, an adventure RPG kind of game, where you kind of level up, explore the world of the Chibi Dinos, because I think anyone, when they look at the Chibi Dinos and you really kind of spend any amount of time thinking about them, some questions probably come to your mind about what the hell exactly these little guys are. And sure. I think we definitely took the opportunity to explore that. But beyond that, it's going to be kind of like this, you're going to be dropped into this hub world where you're going to have opportunities to explore both single player and multiplayer game modes. We are looking to bring a bunch of kind of experimental gameplay experiences that kind of push the boundaries of, the basketball, anime, and kind of adventure style themes. And really just like this kind of broad MMO style game world where anyone can find a gameplay style that kind of suits them, and then of course earning opportunities in that kind of a gameplay loop that they find desirable.
That is awesome. I love the multiple game modes, like you said, kind of attracting different groups, different audiences, and funneling them into that overall ecosystem. That sounds sweet. I'm excited to check it out for sure.
Yeah, we're really excited to get it out there and sort of see, some of the gameplay metas that evolve in the multiplayer side of things, the competitiveness that can even pop up around some of the single player experiences, whether it be people competing for high scores and again climbing leaderboards, and even people that just maybe fixate and become enamored with the world of the Chibi Dinos through the adventure mode.
Those that love Zelda, it's funny, Joseph. We definitely can't toot our own horn about this, because on a macro level, we've somehow stumbled into, I hate to call it a perfect storm, but we back in August of 21 or September of 21, we definitely did not have a crystal ball that was going to say the path that you guys are on is the one that might be the most fruitful in the future. And what we found is that we keep slipping into good fortune. So, for example, take the sport of basketball and the NBA specifically. Like, there has been no higher adoption rate in a sport and or a league than the NBA has had in the crypto and or NFT Web3 space, right? So, I mean, you look at the deals that have been done between LeBron and Kevin Durant with Coinbase. You look at the Crypto.com arena transferring over from Staples, the largest ever naming rights deal in the history of sports. The
Yeah, that's
FTX arena, the amount of adoption of NBA athletes, and we can talk to you a bit later about our KOLs and the folks in the NBA that we've onboarded. But the adoption of the NBA and NBA fans was not something that we would have told you was definitely going to happen. It just so happened quicker than we thought, and therefore we find ourselves primed in an industry, in a space that is going to be really strong for the future. And then beyond that, when it comes to the types of games that are being built, I'm still waiting to find an NFT project that is going to be building an arcade style game that's NFT backed, that is a play and earn or play to earn game that is really enjoyable. There have been talks about a lot of them, and I've just yet to see one. And with that being noted, like, I see one in ours. Like, our game devs shared a dev call with us 2 days ago where we can actively play our game, right? We know what it looks like. We know how it works. It's super exciting, and we're spending our time now tweaking, ensuring that the tokenomics and the game mechanics make the most sense for our users and our holders. But I think we'll be first to market in the arcade style game, as well as just so happen to be in the sport that has been the most adopted. So, kudos to Gamestarter for picking us for an IDO launch in a month, not a month, in a couple weeks. But I think that we're going to see some great success there, because we're in the right place at the right time, and I hate to say that we might be a bit lucky, but hell, we might be a bit lucky.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, though. Sometimes, right? Sometimes the most success comes from, but you still taking the opportunities, right? And luck comes to those who are most prepared, right? So good for you for taking the leap and things working out. That's it sounds like you have a good team behind it to take advantage of those opportunities and those breaks. So that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Heck yeah.
Here's an off-topic question. We didn't even discuss where Chibi came from. What does that mean?
Who wants to answer that question?
Oh, Chibi just means small. It just means
Okay,
tiny
cool.
little guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
It's
small little
okay.
buddies.
Chibi's actually it's the Japanese word for small. So
There it is. Okay.
It is in regular parlance in Japanese. It is the term for a miniaturized character. And
Cool.
by the way, it still boggles my mind, and I've talked to our marketing team and the core team here, but we still describe our collection on OpenSea and even on our website as a 10,000 collection of cute, unique basketball playing characters in the metaverse. And personally, that word "cute," I didn't digest that easily in the beginning, but to be completely frank, they are cute as hell, and it is and has been what has attracted a lot of our folks that have engaged in our project. I mean, the artwork is really spot on, and Chibi, just think of it as a word that's synonymous with cute. And
Okay,
accept that.
It sounds cute.
Yeah,
if
no
I were to
doubt,
guess what a Chibi Dino is without seeing it, I would guess it's a cute little mini dinosaur. So
Exactly. The Japanese got it right the first time.
absolutely, well, very cool. What else do I have for you guys? I was wondering. I mean, I'm sure you probably have you have lots of successes so far. It's been awesome, but I don't know if there's something that stands out in your mind in particular. I'm sure there's a lot, but a big challenge that you guys have faced that came up that maybe was a OS kind of moment, like that you had to get through and push through and is there any particular challenge or frustration that came up that you had to figure out how to get through, and maybe tell us a little background story about something like that?
Yeah, I've got a bunch. Does somebody want to share something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
a flagship one of those defining moments that tested the Chibi team.
Well, I mean, it's become less and less of a test, but it is something of an ongoing one, and it's one that's never far from my mind. And that's making the kind of game ecosystem that we want to make, and what that's going to require as far as an expansion of available playable assets, and walking the line between growth and rewarding the people that have been here from the beginning. as we've kind of alluded to, we did take this transition from the existing 2D collection to three-dimensionalized assets for our our flagship gaming ecosystem. And that being said, the 2D assets kind of live on their own. And I think the biggest challenge has been, how we adequately communicate to the holders of the 2D assets that they have unique opportunities available to them, while still leaving room for growth and unique opportunities for all the assets that are to follow. That's the one that I think stands out in my mind.
No, yours is much tamer than mine. Mine was a simple word called divorce. No, internally, I got to tell you that we have a team of 22 folks right now that are working blood, sweat, and tears day and night on producing a product that has never been seen before, and therefore there's no equation to getting this right. Right? There's no game plan that we can adopt. You can't Google how to make this work. We work so in sync with each other. In the wee hours of the night, we Joseph, we were just talking about the kiddos when it came to scheduling this call. Like I had to leave the house to take this call because I didn't want my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old bothering us during this important interview. At the end of the day, we've devoted a lot to this project. And in doing so, we're doing it as a core team, knowing that our vision makes sense to us. And what keeps me up at night, and the biggest thing that scares me is are people going to get it? The only thing that makes me sleep better, other than melatonin, is knowing that the folks that I've surrounded myself with are seasoned vets when it comes to success. Right. And I don't care if it's in the Web3 space. I don't care if it's in the crypto space. I don't care if it's in the marketing space. I've got a bunch of winners on this team that I know that when we conceptualize and when we ideate and when we create internally, and especially in a world where you need to hold back a lot of that building because you can't share everything Nike doesn't share the first 20 iterations of the next dunk until it's released, and the dunk that we're creating has never existed before, and we're just we've got a team around us that's convincing each other that we're on the right path. We found the right advisors, we found the right partners like you guys at Gamestarter. We're constantly getting checks of confidence from folks outside of our core ecosystem, but the biggest difficult to me has been staying on that straight and narrow, knowing that our vision is what we're going to accomplish, and doing so with none of us we didn't pay ourselves, right, for the first 7 months of working here, and we all came off the streets from significant jobs. We didn't pay ourselves, and convincing your wife or your husband or whoever it might be that, hey, I'm going into a world that you know nothing about and you just have to trust me, was not an easy task. And I can tell you that I'm incredibly proud of our team. I'm incredibly proud of our community to allow us that space and that creative zone for us to continue to work in this world where they trust in us. And our holdership, the owners of our NFT assets, the average holding time of one of our NFTs is 81 days. That's triple the industry average, right? We've typically, an NFT launches, they have a game ready to go, they launch a token and they're good to go. We've spent 8 months. Our first game came out 8 months after the original launch, and we're still 2 times the mint price. I mean, that is unheard of. So not only is it the support of the community, it's the support of our families, it's the support of each other. That was the scariest part, but also the most uplifting part in this process, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, take my money right now. That was motivational right there. That was awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, it's super cool to hear that you guys have the support. Like you said, the community is huge. But with the team, a solid team, a solid community. I mean, that's just like such a killer combo. But and then finally that actual product that's delivering and you guys are getting ready to put out there. I mean, all of those, that's basically the trifecta. I mean, honestly, what else you are looking for in a project at that point?
3-point stance, brother. We're in the 3-point stance right now.
Beautiful. I know. I love that. Well, what kind of, so as far as like a timeline goes, are you ready to share? So like you said, you're talking about your IDO. coming up on Gamestarter itself. And then as far as like a timeline, do you have any alpha for us as far as like releasing games and you've got Hoops token coming out? That's really ideal, correct?
Yeah. Shetty, why don't you give them a bit of knowledge on dates for some product drops, and then I'll give them a bit of insight into what we've got thinking about in the future.
For sure.
Cool, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, let's jump into it. I think we haven't talked about what's going to really fuel the ecosystem that we're trying to build here, and that's essentially going to be done through two token ecosystems. So it's going to be through our Hoop token, which is our premier token, hard cap token, and it's going to be also the swag token, which is going to be released at a later date. The current IDO that we're looking to essentially release within the next month, the timeline for it currently is so we've had back and forth with our strategy, and the strategy that we've landed on is going forward with currently 4 launch pads. So that strategy is stemmed from wanting to increase our market exposure, and we've decided to essentially come on board with Gamestarter just because of obviously how big of a community Gamestarter has. The current timeline that we have for the token, and just a little bit of alpha or a little bit of information on the token itself, it's a hard cap token made out of a supply of 350 million tokens. The token is currently expected to be listed for public sale on launch pads starting the first week of May. So we're looking at essentially staggering or delaying some of essentially the public sales that are going to be done on these particular launch pads. And then the listing would essentially come a day within 24 hours of those public sales being done. The next iteration or the next sort of flagship of products that we're looking to release, and we can get into a little bit more detail on, which is going to be post IDO. And that's a little bit of alpha here for this channel. We're currently targeting a gear asset sale, which is going to be done through an IGO. That IGO has been announced with one of our partners. That gear asset sale is essentially going to lead or funnel into our Primal Hoop game. These gear assets will essentially be equipped by users who hold Chibi Dinos in order to increase things from skill tree, IQ boosts, and other utilities that are going to be used within the game. So that's one thing. Another thing that's currently on our roadmap, even though a lot of us don't like the word roadmap, is our comic sale. So we essentially have spent the last 4 months essentially with our creative team building the story behind the comics and wanting to come up with a product line that our holders would essentially get behind. They would look at as this creative edge that would essentially retain its value and be this sort of historical piece that come out with the first issue of the comic and then essentially would be staggered into future issues as well. And that's something that we're essentially looking at targeting a release of in sometime in mid-June. Other than that, some of the biggest releases that we're currently, and I don't want to throw a lot of timelines out there just because there's a lot of things that obviously happen and delays that do happen as well. Another thing that is coming up that will be essentially a big part of our ecosystem is the full launch of Primal Pick'em. And like we mentioned earlier, Primal Pick'em is our predictive game, which will have a lot of rewards within it when it comes to NFT rewards, Hoop token rewards, and users will essentially just go in there and make those NBA predictions. We're currently targeting a full launch release of late May, which essentially, based on feedback we've received, is one of the fastest lead time between a token launch and a release of a game. Just because we wanted there to not be essentially a big lead time for people to essentially get their tokens and look at ways in order for them to use the token or earn the token. So we think the lead time between the current strategy that we've come up with the IDO listing and then this full launch of the Primal Pick'em game was essentially the perfect timing because it gives that user, that holder of the token, the perfect amount of time to essentially dig into our ecosystem and understand what's going to happen, and then a couple weeks later get this game that they're able to interact with and essentially use the token with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, the NFT and crypto space, people's attention spans are just non-existent at this point. So if you're not cranking stuff out, I mean, it's hard to. We're definitely finding that that little bit of a challenge almost, where it's like we have the hype for things and we're building. We're trying to get the products ready for that launch. But and everyone wants to know, of course, where that they're excited for it, which is great. But also, it takes time to build these things well. So you're trying to capitalize on the excitement of NFT, but also develop a really good game and have that solid. So I mean, props to you guys for being able to release a usable product so quickly after that. That'll be, I think, really important for the over long-term success, kind of capturing that initial excitement, I think, and really transferring that right into actionable items.
Yeah, can I give you a piece of advice for anyone out there that's listening on if you launch a product and you're terrified about the lag time between announcing something and releasing it? The only thing that I found that works is you got to give them your cell phone number, because if you're not accountable, then you're in trouble, right? Like the greater community at large that we have has direct access to myself and to our team should they want it. And again, we've managed to have them trust us for, 7-8 months straight until these games have been launched. So full transparency and credibility mean everything.
That's amazing. Do you not sleep then with a constantly ringing phone, or
No, they
respectful for it?
They trust, man. They trust. I swear to God,
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
You make the one thing that people want is the one thing they can't have. You give people access to you that makes them understand that you're not hiding anything. And when somebody does want to chat, it doesn't matter what it is. I've talked to people. I've walked community members through job interviews. I've been references for at least 20 of our community members on jobs that they've been looking for.
That's amazing.
I've given jobs to some folks at other companies. Like it's been a really fun process. Also, one of the most rewarding things that comes with Web3, this creator economy. I'm not going to say we're a community-owned project, because we're not. We run the show. Our community helps drive some of the thought behind it, but and I think that's probably how it should be, especially with our style of project. But yeah, we need to be engaged with the folks that have invested in us, and we are 100%. We are, and we always will be.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love that. So what does maybe a little bit of insight to a crystal ball, looking into the future of Chibi Dinos, what can the community look forward to in the future? Is there anything you're really excited about? Obviously, we've got some upcoming releases. You're talking a year, 2 years. Like what does that future look like for us?
It's funny. I was asked this question in an interview earlier today, and I was just looking at my calendar as the question was being asked, and I noticed that I have 3 calls in the next 24 hours on these 3 topics, which are super cool. One is really coming to terms with strategizing around an episodic series for Chibi Dinos through a team that has built some incredible series of cartoons that have done incredibly well through partnerships with things like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and Disney. So we're looking at that. I've got a call with an incredible team called Sweet Chameleon on a potential product release for toys, so vinyl toys for Chibi Dinos. Something that, again, once we finish our token sale and once we finish our game, we'll have a bit more time to focus on. But we're already getting mock-ups that look incredibly cool, and they're super, super advanced in the space in regards to AR capabilities and the technological advancements that have come in toys. The comic book series, man, I've got to say, as simple as it might sound in regards to that first launch, the storytelling capabilities that we're going to have and the content generation opportunities that we're going to have through that series of 10 comics, through the mind of one of our greatest and best named Kirill, who's the creative director over here at Chibi Dinos, is pretty mind-boggling. I mean, the first episode or the first book was available to us back in December, and we've been reading it nonstop. We just haven't released it yet. We've got 3 more ready to go, and That's going to be a series of 10. So there's a lot of things in regards to building out the overall world of Chibi Dinos outside of the traditional blockchain game space that are super exciting. And they're definitely not going to be our core ecosystem. But that being said, they're going to be ancillary and super fun for anyone who gets involved with us.
That's awesome. I love to see so many things, so many other future plans, right? You said the roadmap, you don't like to use that word just because I feel like it's become such a buzzword with kind of lots of vague, milestones that, one day we're creating a game. We're, next year, at the end of next year, we're going to start researching companies to work with to eventually create. It's like all these things like this, very futuristic plans and whatever. It's no concrete schedule, no whatever. So it is very encouraging. I understand why you shy away from that term, but it's also, it's the first thing I look at, you go into a project and you're actually seeing concrete things that are in the works that are being built and different avenues too, where it's like I can enjoy, if I can enjoy Chibi Dinos in more ways than one, or in just one way, but there are so many things that I can be a part of, which is really cool, I think.
Yeah, I made a promise to our community and to the staff here that we will not announce or make public anything that I've not signed on a dotted line, nor have we ever, right? So I don't even know if we've announced our partnership with you guys yet. We do not do that, right? There's not speculation. When we were raising our token, there are a number of people that said, when you're pitching VCs and stuff, you've got a lot of people say we're in talks with. Like, that doesn't fly for us, man.
Sure.
Either it's done or it's not done, and the proof's in the pudding. So we got a lot of pudding.
That's amazing. Well, sweet. I think we got a lot of alpha here tonight. I'm excited. Is there anything else you guys want to share with us? Those are all my main questions, and I feel like you really made an amazing case for your project. I personally, full transparency to all our audience right here, I didn't know any of these guys before tonight. Coming away, I feel like I've met a lot of really cool, a really cool team that I would want to put money behind personally. And I think, you've made, like I said, a really good case for a strong and promising project to look out for. Is there anything else you guys want to share with our community and with your community as well who'll be seeing this?
Listen, if we've been an hour now, which is pretty immaculate. It takes a lot for me to spend an hour conversing with anyone on a topic that isn't interesting, and the fact that we've spent an hour is really interesting. So, I just really appreciate you, and I appreciate your audience, and I appreciate the fact that you give us this launch pad to share our story and share our vision, and I hope that your community appreciates that as well. And listen, for the Gamestarter community, you're going to be welcomed with open arms, just like anyone else. And catch me on the DMs, man. They're open. Everyone says in the Discord world, you got to shut down your DMs. I think I'm the only human being on earth that's got their DMs open. Easy, scammers. I know how to find you. But anyone else, man, they're open.
No, that's amazing. I think you're going to have a strong conversion rate with our community for sure. This was an amazing first episode for this kind of series and these kind of talks. I'm really excited to have, that we're going to be working together in the future too. And, we wish you, of course, nothing but the best, and appreciate all your guys' time for sure. So if that's all, guys, I'm gonna let you get back to your evenings, but thank you all so much for joining me. And we really appreciate the call and the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, Joseph. It's been a pleasure.
Is it irresponsible to say that, Joe, you got a home run on your first episode? I feel like that was a home run, Joseph.
Honestly, I think this was solid. I'm pretty sure
good.
the powers that be should be happy with this one. Like I said,
you're gonna be busy, homie. You're gonna be doing these one a day now.
I don't know if I handle that one yet, but if we can get to a good once a week, and like I said, you never. I personally didn't. Like I said, I didn't know you guys beforehand. Before I had the tip off from our CMO and said, let's schedule this call. And like I said, you never know when you're getting involved with NFT projects who's kind of going to be behind it. So it's super comforting and super exciting to know that not from a Gamestarter perspective, that we're working with a team that's so well put together and so experienced and like I said, showing their faces and being active. But also just from an NFT perspective, never knowing who you're gonna be on the conversation with. You guys make it easy to have a conversation with and make a good video. So appreciate you.
And our project's an absolute snipe at the current floor price with everything we've got essentially lined up. So I mean, not financial advice, but I think you're giving your you're giving your community.
You got to throw that out there, the NFA. But yeah, no, I can totally see that.
Good, man. Well, I think it's been super fun. It's been super fun for us. And little do you know that now we have to hop on an all-team call for the next hour. So it's going to get late for us. We're already late for it.
Cool.
Joe, thanks so much for your time. You ever need anything from us, you let us know. We're here to help. And God bless you, man. That's super fun. And thanks. It's rare that we get to talk about what we do to the outside world. We spend a lot of time talking to each other.
Sure.
So it feels good. Thank you very much for the opportunity, buddy.
Yeah, thank you guys. All the best. Take care, and we'll definitely be in contact with you all soon.
Later, homie. Take care.
Bye. Have a good one.